Dan, I'm looking out over the horizon here.
Yeah.
Do I see Michigan? Do I see Ohio State?
Mm-hmm.
Do I see a rerun of last season? Do I see a rerun of last season whereby Michigan, Ohio State square off in this monster rivalry game and Michigan again takes it to them? Michigan again gets the monkey off their back for the second straight year and knocks off Ryan Day and Ohio
Well, the monkey's
State.
off the back, Ty. You can't knock something there that's not there. Something off that's not there, right?
The Ohio State monkey is off the back.
Yeah.
Certainly the playoff monkey, the championship monkey is still there for Jim Harbaugh. The most important thing, though, is beating Ohio State. They did it last year. Can they do it again? That is always the standard by which they grade out their seasons. What did we do against Ohio State? In terms of remaining schedule for Michigan, Michigan State, Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois a week before Ohio State. Maybe that'll be weird for some reason because Illinois plays defense, but I don't know if I'd count on that. Obviously, they close out the season on the road this year in the shoe. Tell me why you think, despite all of the narrative about Ohio State being the best offense in the country, all of the narrative coming from me that Ohio State is bound to win the national championship in 2022, tell me why you think Michigan hunts down Ohio State.
The way Michigan plays offense is so specifically such a pain in the ass to play against that, look, you root for Penn State. You watched every second of that game. You came away from that game thinking, well, that did not seem like a fun 60-minute stretch of football for the Penn State defense. A talented Penn State defense that's performed otherwise pretty well. You saw what Michigan did to them, punishing them, stringing together 11-play, 13-play, whatever, however many play drives. And so if that is the team best built to keep the Ohio State offense on the sideline, that's a tricky proposition. Now, they don't look terribly different on offense than what they looked like last year, right? Michigan has struggled at times to be consistently strong and aggressive downfield. They were with Cade McNamara. They have been against the better teams on their schedule with J.J. McCarthy. Hasn't mattered because they've separated themselves from those teams because of what Blake Corum and the offensive line and Donovan Edwards and then popping some play action to Roman Wilson and Ronnie Bell and the two really good tight ends. They've been very successful with a very specific strategy. And so we saw Iowa's defense, and I don't think Michigan's defense is quite what Iowa's defense is right now, but we saw them do such a good job in that zone, keeping the Ohio State offense in front of them. The concern for me is the concern that everybody had before the season. Michigan is going to have a very, very good defense. Do they have those rush ends that terrify coordinators and terrify quarterbacks the night before, the week before, the month before? How do we deal with Ojabo and Hutchinson? They haven't. The havoc rate along that defensive line for Michigan has not been incredible in the way that it was last year. And that's the pairing, right? That's you go to the Michigan restaurant, here's the entree, here's the wine. That's the pairing. You know, the ability to control the ball on offense and the line of scrimmage on offense against a better Ohio State defense this year, and then those guys that you have to account for. And Dax Hill in the back, obviously not there anymore. And it's the star power or lack thereof, a very good Michigan defense. That, to me, is where the hunt becomes a little bit more complicated. And so that's the reason why I struggle. The reason 4 is easy because of the offensive strategy and a sound defense. And the confidence in knowing that a lot of these guys who were on the field in this team last year know very recent success against Ohio State. That, to me, is the difference. That Michigan is very, very good, but to put it together in that complete a way, that's a challenge with the star power of Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, keep this in mind about the Michigan team, and I think your point is really a valid one. It's sort of the same strategy as a year ago. Going to J.J.
McCarthy, even more pronounced. It's like 2021 plus. But yeah,
right. Going to J.J. McCarthy has certainly unlocked something of the playbook. Right, they can do more with him because of his mobility than they could with Cade McNamara. But they're still basically running the same thing. What we saw against Penn State was a masterclass. That worked beautifully. Penn State ran, if you don't count the kneel down to go into half, Penn State only ran 13 plays the entire first half. They had the ball for 5-6 minutes out of the first 30. That is the way that Michigan wants to play. If Michigan can play in that dominant a fashion, they clearly will have a leg up on nearly everybody that they play, whether it's Ohio State or Penn State or anybody else. That's not to say they're going to have the same level of success when they go to Columbus. I don't think that they will.
Right.
But I think they are proving here week in and week out that they can maintain that same level of efficiency, that same offense that they ran from a year ago against pretty much everybody that we've seen so far. And that's a pretty good case study.
The interesting thing with Michigan, the answer I want to see on the back half of this schedule, it's really probably only going to come against, they have which good defenses do they have left? They have Illinois, to a lesser extent Rutgers. Is there a third team with at least a decent defense left on their schedule? I guess Ohio State, but yes, obviously Ohio State. But until Ohio State, those are the two defenses that, here's what I want to see. I want to see 1st and goal from the 7, touchdown. 1st and goal from the 4, touchdown. 1st and goal from the 5, touchdown, like a touchdown eventually. What they were not able to do against Penn State early on, what they were not able to do against Iowa is turn those goal-to-go situations into touchdowns basically every time. And so in the way that, what is it? You don't win friends with salads from the Simpsons movie. I think it's the Tom Fornelli. You don't win games with field goals. You don't win games with field goals. You don't win games. So as good as Jake Moody is, Jake Moody's not beating Ohio State. That's the little wrinkle that I want to see pushed into overgear. Overgear? No. That overdrive? Do boats, submarines go into overdrive? Probably.
Yeah. They have to.
That's that next step that I want to see from Michigan. Because otherwise, I'm a big believer in the maize and blue. But you're not beating Ohio State 12-10 this year. You're just not.